All right, greetings and welcome back once again to Just Make Music. Hey, we left off last time. We're right in the middle of making some beats and or loops, whatever you would like to call them. I left off right in the middle of getting ready to do a little more detail on how to make these loops and how to divvy them up and chop them up a little bit so they actually make sense and actually make musical sense as towards making an actual recording, if you will, using these beats. We're using Pro Tools Intro, and we're using Expand 2 that comes with Pro Tools Intro, and I've said it 100 times, but I'll say it again. They're absolutely free, and I'm all about using stuff that's just laying around or whatever you can to make music, okay? So with that being said, let's just jump right back in and start seeing a little more detail on how to make some more beats and how to cut them up and get them ready for the radio. Let's go. Here we go. Go open up your version of Pro Tools, pop it up on the screen like I did just now. Here we go. So this is where we kind of left off last time. We had drums and instrument, and they were basically MIDI tracks. We added 2 MIDI tracks. Let me close this expand version out for now. Here's what we have. We ended up with instrument tracks, and one was a drum, one was just an instrument we added, but they're both, like I say, they're both MIDI, and both of them had expand to the tool, the musical tool, the insert, the plug-in insert that goes on these tracks that actually makes the music. So on this one, we'll go over this one and this one, both of them. But first of all, I think what we need to do is go over the most important things when you're looking at these screens before we start chopping these beats up, etc. Some of the most important things that you really need, I mean, there's a whole bunch of things on here, but kind of the basics that you kind of have to make some beats and make them make sense is this. You need to have instrument track. Instrument tracks are MIDI tracks, and you can see by this little piano keys out here. So you have to have instrument tracks. Now, another very important thing, one of the most important things probably in all of Pro Tools and all of doing these beats and making this music is you have to be on a grid. Right here is the grid. It's extremely important that that is highlighted and selected because basically everything in this musical world, is Pro Tools included, is based on a grid. It's all based on mathematics, if you will. So you need equidistance on all your grids. It just makes it so much easier, I tell you. Okay, the next thing is the Smart tool. All these things, these 3 things up here combined, if you select up here on the top of these 3 items, it becomes the Smart tool. And you'll see as we go along what this actually means. But this is used 99% of the time when you're adjusting stuff within Pro Tools. And the next thing, go over here and you can see the grid. Right here is your grid. And what that means is it says the little tiny number 1, if you can see it, the grid value. That means that it's 1 bar. Grid 1 equals 1 bar. So you see it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So these are bars and they're all equidistant and it's 1 bar each. So that's extremely important is this grid, because when we get going here, we're going to divide up these bars because you don't want to have a bar, 1 bar all the way across. I mean, if you're playing a piano or something, you have notes all through here. And in order to do that, you have to change the grid's values. So look, I'll do it real quick like right here. Here's the grid that's on right now. It's 1. Select here, and you see that pull down. Go to quarter notes, for instance. Select that, and now you are on quarter notes here. See how it's very faint, but there's lines right here. So this 1 bar has now been divided into quarters. Extremely important because remember before we were adding lines with this little plus sign, we were adding these big 1 bar at a time. Now when you double click in here to add notes, you are adding quarters. So that's extremely important. So instead of one long bar like this, just playing the loop, you're going to break it up into like musical notation, right? But like I say, it's very important that you have this grid set to those notes. And for instance, if you want quarter notes, you want eighth notes, 16th notes, you can make it any of the above, and we'll do a little bit of all of them. But you see, as you change this grid number, it goes from one to half to quarter to eighth, all the way down to a 64th note. And that's extremely important when we start putting in some musical notation here and actually playing the synthesizer or the keyboards and stuff like that. So that's the grid. I will go back to one, very important. And then you have right here is loop. This is a loop playback. Highlight this right here and then right click on it and you will see there's a loop. That's the play button for Pro Tools, is play, and that's record, the red button. That's the transport, I think it's called. But that's play, that's record. Very important that if you want to loop play, you right click and highlight loop. It likewise, if you want to loop record, which we're not going to get into right now, you do the same thing. Right click and click loop. Right now we'll right click and leave it as normal, and we'll leave this as normal play. And then we have this, which is very, very important. It's called MIDI merge. And what this means is that when you're recording music over here, like these beats, and you go into record mode, we start recording live, like through a keyboard. If you're playing those on your keyboard over here, and you mess something up, and you say, oh, I didn't really want that there, this MIDI merge allows you to go and merge new notes over the top of the existing ones. So like if you're playing the piano or something and you mess up a note, you hit the wrong key or whatever, you can erase that, go back to MIDI merge and go right over the top of it and just add it back in without erasing all that you've recorded up to that point in time. So that also, that's a lifesaver right here. MIDI merge is a lifesaver as far as I'm concerned, especially if you're not really well versed at playing the keyboards, synthesizer, piano, and you want to add some of this stuff. I'm telling you, this MIDI merge will save your. And also here we have a BPM. Here's the beats per minute. That's the tempo of your entire track. So that's what it's at. You can change it like we did before. You can change it. You can make it 120 beats per minute. You can make it 100 beats per minute. You can make it 90. You can do whatever you want. That will be the tempo of your actual beats out here in your music. And one other thing, when you're viewing this area out here, this whole thing, and say you want to zoom in or zoom out, here's what you do. You go over here. You see this little, that's the keyboard focus, it's called. It's a little box, has an A and a Z. When you highlight it or unhighlight it, highlight it, it means your keyboard focus is on. The only thing I really use it for doing this kind of work is I hit T on the keyboard, T or R. Those are, just memorize those on your keyboard. T makes it bigger. R shrinks it down. So if you're looking at something, all of a sudden your screen looks like that, and you go, oh man, that's too big. Just make sure this is on. Keyboard focus is highlighted, and then hit R, and it'll bring it right back down. That's to magnify and demagnify, enlarge, make it smaller again. That's what it is right here. Keyboard focus, and it's the T and the R. TR. Extremely important. All right. And with that being said, let's go ahead and wrap this up for the week. I think we've beat that dead horse to death now. We've gone over the instrument tracks, the audio tracks, putting things together, putting things on the grid. using Pro Tools intro, using Expand 2 as the musical insert. I think we're about to the point now where we can just go out and make some loops, make some beats, make some music happen. So come on back next week and we're going to start laying down some of these tracks, actually recording some audio, okay, making some actual music. In the meantime, have a nice evening and a pleasant tomorrow. And if there are any questions at all, I know it's confusing. At least it was super confusing for me, but I'm older. Anyway, I will see you next week. Until then, okay, the most important thing is just make some music, okay? It's good for your soul. See you next week.